Hi, Team Gerwell. You are flipping in fifth with me, Mrs. G. Today we're going to be talking about Topic 9, Lesson 6. And today our learning target is, I can find the common denominators for fractions with unlike denominators. Today's vocabulary word is common denominator. A common multiple of two denominators is a common denominator. So why do you need to know this anyway? Well, in order to add and subtract fractions, you need to have a common denominator. That's the number that is down or on the bottom of a fraction. Remember, denominator, down. They both start with D. So here in our fraction 1/2, what is the denominator? It's the 2. 2 is the denominator. So what is the 1? It's the numerator. Good job. So now, if we were going to add the fractions 2/8 plus 12/20, we couldn't do it just like this because we need to have a common denominator. In other words, our denominators need to be the same. So we are going to use both strategies that we learned yesterday to find the least common denominator, the smallest number that they have in common. So here's our problem of the day. We can go through using the list the multiples strategy to find the least common denominator of 8 and 20. Remember, I like to make a table because it keeps all of my numbers in order, but you don't have to. But anyway, you're going to go through and find all of the multiples of 8, all of the multiples of 20, and then whatever is the lowest number they have in common, well, that's your least common denominator. So let's go through and do 8 times 2 is 16. We'll go all the way through. Those are your multiples of 8. Then 20 times 2 is 40. And we'll go through, and those are all of your multiples of 20. Do you see numbers that are in common? Yes, the 40 is in common for both 8 and 20. So the least common denominator of 8 and 20 is 40. It's exactly like what we did yesterday. It's just now we're using it at the bottom of a fraction to make them common. You can also use the make a cake strategy I showed you yesterday to find the least common denominator of 8 and 20. This time you're writing 8 and then a comma with 20 in the bottom of your cake. And you have to think about, well, what can I evenly divide into 8 and 20? I'm going to choose 4. 8 divided by 4 is 2. 20 divided by 4 is 5. So can I take it any further? What number will divide evenly into 2 and 5? Well, the only number that will is 1. So just like yesterday, because we're looking for the least common denominator, we are going to look at that L, and we are going to make an L. And what do we do for all of the numbers that are in the L? Remember, it's kind of a sideways L. We multiply them. So 4 times 1 is 4. Then we do 4 times 2 is 8, and then 8 times 5 is 40. So our least common denominator here would be 40. So practice this. Find the least common denominator of 6/12 and 9/16. Go ahead and pause the video and come back and see if you can figure that out. Again, we just need to know the least common denominator right now. Okay, coming back in 3, 2, 1. The least common denominator of 6/12 and 9/16 is 48. Let's see how we found it. Well, here we could do the list the multiples strategy. So we went through and found all the multiples of 12 and all the multiples of 16. And then we found that 48 was the least common multiple. So we knew that 48 was going to be our common denominator. Or we could do the make a cake strategy. Again, we have 12 and 16. Those are our denominators in the bottom layer of the cake. Since they're even, we're going to divide them by 2. That gives us 6/8. We can still divide it by 2. That gives us 3/4. Is there anything we can divide that by? Just 1. So now, since we are going to do our make a cake strategy, we're going to put it all in that sideways L. Remember, if you turn your head to the right, it looks like an L. And we're going to multiply all the numbers that are in our L. So 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times 3 is 12. And 12 times 4 is 48. So our least common denominator of 6/12 and 9/16 is 48. Now, you may already know what you need to do to the numerator in order to actually add these fractions, but we're not learning that in this lesson. Today, we're just talking about finding the least common denominator. We'll talk about the numerators tomorrow. But on these practice problems, if you feel comfortable changing the numerator as well, and you already know how to do it, go ahead and do it. And then we can check your answers tomorrow in class and see if you did it right. Otherwise, we'll learn how to do that tomorrow. So here are your practice problems. Go ahead and press stop, write them down, and find the least common denominator for each of the pairs. Okay, coming back with the answers in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, here are your answers. I hope you got the same answers I did. Remember, there can be lots of different common denominators, but you're looking for the least, the smallest common denominator. So that's why these numbers are the correct numbers. Go ahead and check your work and write how many you got correct. Honestly, fill out the self-reflection. Could you teach a friend how to find the least common denominator, or are you still a little confused? And then go ahead, fill that space in for any questions you might still have. I hope you have a great night, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye-bye.